morning, everybody. Welcome to our session for January 7th. Happy New Year to everybody. And we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner O'Grady.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin our general session, we have our organizational meeting every year at this time. And it is my great honor to have served this year as our president of the board. And I want to thank my colleagues for their great service to this board and to, the three of us do the work of this board as a team. And the role of president is to run the meetings and is largely ceremonial. And it's a year that, last year that we did a lot of great things, and it's been this team of the three of us, Kevin Boyce, John O'Grady, and I, that really did this great work with knowing that our staff and our county administration and all of their teams working together that really do the work, the great work after we set the policies and pass the resolutions. So I want to thank everybody in county government who does the great work that really puts us on a course to start 2020 with great success and with great opportunity and a lot of needs that we still know need to be met. So with that, we have a resolution under our organizational meeting, and I would ask the clerk to read that resolution.
Resolution number 1-20, resolution electing the president of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners for the 2020 term of the board.
Is that my role now? Okay. Do I make the nomination?
You can. Anybody
You'll have
can.
Let me pause and think about that for a minute. No, it's my honor to nominate Commissioner John O'Grady to serve as president for the 2020 fiscal year of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners.
And I will second that.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
President Brown,
Yes.
and Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 1-20 has been adopted.
And I think we should get a picture and we'll switch seats and we'll get on with the agenda with Commissioner President John O'Grady leading the meeting.
All right.
All right.
Would it go around?
Take out all of the stuff from our pocket. No, you get to be in.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Velcro. Kind of like your shoes.
You know, I know. Watch it be.
Oh, that's true, he does. He does, still. Pomp and circumstance over. That's like the sum total and extent of the presidency of the Board of County Commissioners, by the way. It's not like most other things. All right, well, welcome to general session, January 20th, 2020. And we will begin with the Franklin County Engineer.
Resolution number 2-20, resolution awarding the contract, I'm sorry, Commissioner, President O'Grady, we actually have minutes to approve first. I
You're
apologize.
right. See, I'm out of practice. Can we get the approval of the minutes?
And you said being president was ceremonial. See, already, go look at this.
Screwed it up already.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
President O'Grady.
Yes.
The minutes have been adopted.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners.
One moment, please, engineer, I'm sorry. Resolution number 2-20, resolution awarding contract and approving contract bond to Complete General Construction Company for the Treview Road Bridge 7.85 over Norfolk Southern Railroad Improvement Project, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $4,171,272.37.
Happy New Year, Commissioners.
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
Morning.
My name is Cornell Robertson, Franklin County Engineer, and I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Commissioner O'Grady as president, and I would also like to genuinely thank each of the commissioners for your collaboration and cooperation, as well as with the staff. I truly enjoy working with all of you, serving every resident every day.
Thank you, Cordo.
With me today is Ed Herrick, our bridge design engineer, and Ed will present our first resolution.
Great.
Thanks. Good morning. Commissioners, this resolution seeks to award the contract and approve the contract bond to Complete General Construction Company for the Treview Road Bridge over Norfolk Southern Railroad. This is a cooperative improvement between City of Columbus and Franklin County. It's located in western Franklin County on the Norwich and Franklin Township border. Complete General Construction Company was selected via the competitive bid process with an opening on December 10th of 2019. Pending any questions, I would ask for your approval.
If there are no comments or questions, am I doing these?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, no.
You did it, so go ahead. No,
Okay.
go ahead.
If there are no
We're all
comments or.
backwards today.
Marilyn, can you move back over here to this? If there are, that just throws me off. I gotta readjust here. New room, seats are changed, musical chairs. If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 002-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 2-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 3-20, resolution authorizing the Franklin County Engineer to enter into a contract modification with Shelley and Sands Incorporated for the 2019 Franklin County Township Resurfacing Program, an increase of $146,000 for a revised contract amount of $3,082,282.05.
Commissioners, this resolution is for bridge repair in the northeast part of Franklin County in Jefferson Township along Havens Corners Road over Black Lake Creek. This is a bridge that was experiencing accelerated deterioration of some of the pier piles, and even one pile was beginning to buckle. This change order allowed Shelley and Sands to do the emergency repair and get the roadway reopened in just 10 days.
Well, that's important.
Yeah.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 0003-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 3-20 has been adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cordo. The Sheriff's Department.
Resolution number 4-20, resolution authorizing an agreement with Falcon Correctional and Community Service Incorporated to provide medical and nursing care system review for the care and welfare of inmates in the Franklin County Correction Center's facilities in the amount of $18,500.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dave Masterson, Director of Administrative Services, representing Sheriff Dallas Baldwin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
To enhance quality control, Falcon Incorporated will review our current medical and nursing care service delivery and offer best practice recommendations regarding necessary operational changes for intake, classification, and housing management. They will also offer recommendations to mitigate risks regarding clinical and programmatic treatment processes. Pending any questions, I ask approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 4-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 4-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. The treasurer.
Resolution number 5-20, resolution authorizing a contract with Pro Team Solutions Incorporated, PSI, to provide a deliverable-based services to the Franklin County Treasurer System in the amount of $156,000.
Good morning. Budget and Purchasing Coordinator for the Treasurer's Office.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Jim Holmes, Chief Technology Officer for the Treasurer's Office.
Good morning.
We are requesting for the resolution for the Pro Team Solutions to manage and maintain our fax system, which is our service that we use for our taxpayers in their parcels.
Yes, it's a continuation of the stabilization of the system, which has reached an end-of-life scenario until we get a replacement system.
Great.
Okay, if there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 5-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 5-20 has been adopted.
All right, thank you. And we're on to the Office on Aging.
Resolution number 6-20, resolution authorizing a contract for consulting services with TMH Solutions Incorporated to support the upgrade of the Q Continuum Case Management System in the amount of $100,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Amy
Morning.
Funk, Interim Director. This resolution authorizes a contract with TMH Solutions Incorporated for consulting services to assist in the upgrade of Office on Aging's current Q Continuum Case Management System. Within the scope of the contract, TMH will provide a project manager who will be assisting with performing a market analysis in the form of a request for information and request for proposal process to select the vendor most capable of providing Office on Aging with a case management system. These project management services with TMH are purchased through a state term contract. It's a 6-month contract from January 7th, 2020 through July 6th, 2020, and will not exceed $100,000. Pending any questions, I respectfully ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 6-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 6-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Amy. The Board of Elections.
Resolution number 7-20, resolution authorizing the purchase of new ballot-on-demand voting equipment from No Inc. in the amount of $747,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Happy New Year. The resolution you have before you is for the acquisition of a ballot-on-demand system printing capability. Our current system allows for voters to exercise an option of a hand-marked paper ballot. And also, the Secretary of State actually requires us to have an additional backup supply of ballots available. And this ballot-on-demand capability will allow us to make those ballots available to the public, the voter who chooses to vote by paper, and also maintain this, or meet the requirement that Secretary of State has for having additional paper ballots available for voters. And this No Ink poll print system will work seamlessly with our existing No Ink electronic poll pad system. The No Ink solution, the poll print solution, will be environmentally friendly because it's only it results in printing only the paper ballots that are actually used and doesn't result in wasted, unused paper ballots that would also have to be stored. It's more cost-effective because it reduces the upfront printing, paper, and storage costs by only having to print and store those paper ballots that are actually requested by voters. And we have a federal requirement that any ballots that we were to print in advance would have to be stored for 22 months. Used ballots, those that are used by voters, but as well as those that remain unused. It's secure because it's seamless connection between our existing poll pad system and the print system. It'll allow our poll workers to more accurately ensure that the voter is given the right ballot because it will print that ballot when it's requested. Commissioners, I know, are aware that we have a multitude of ballot style combinations. In this upcoming election, we will have the March primary, we'll have 1,204 ballot style combinations. Then you multiply that by Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, and issues only, and suddenly now we're at 4,812 separate ballot style combinations of districts, congressional districts, House districts, school districts, and so forth. But we have that many in play this election cycle. And this will ensure that this ballot on demand system will ensure that we're able to do that in a more accurate fashion, and a process that will be easier for our poll workers as well, to ensure that the voter gets the right ballot. And we've already, again, we anticipate that this will save money. It'll essentially pay for itself between 2 and 3 election cycles. We've talked with the print shop about whether they could print those additional ballots, but again, it's just, given the time, election cycle, the calendar that we have, it's really just not practical, because the print shop already prints our provisional ballots, which are a separate printing issue, as well as printing all of our absentee ballots that go out in the mail. So they already really worked tremendously hard to be able to keep up with that demand, and adding this would create an even additional burden. We've already secured additional savings of $430,000 over the original solution proposal by working with the vendor to identify an alternate cabinet for transport and storage of the equipment, which will make it, again, it's an off-the-shelf cabinet versus a custom cabinet, and so we've been able to already shave the cost of this solution by $430,000. And so, pending any other questions, I respectfully request approval of the resolution. I do want to extend my thanks to your budget staff, to Director Perry Ballinaire and Mr. Schulis for their assistance in helping move the contract through the processes.
Okay. Are there any
I do
questions?
have a question. Is this going to replace the ballots that you now have available at the early voting, say, or if somebody wants to vote not using the machine but doing it by hand, is this going to replace that, or is this an additional way to?
We will have some small quantity of pre-printed ballots available at the polling locations, but this would be to, again, provide for, again, the capability of producing those paper ballots. It really is, it's an alternative, because the voter can still use the touchscreen voting system,
But if they don't want to use the touchscreen and want to do it by hand,
this will afford them that
this
ability
will
to do
be
it
replacing the current way they can do it
by paper,
by
right?
paper. Okay. That's what I wasn't clear on.
Okay. If there are no further comments or questions,
I'll comment after we vote on it. Go ahead.
move for adoption of 7-20.
Second,
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 7-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
So Ed, I just wanted to let you know, thank you for the letter to the editor in the paper yesterday, day before.
Yeah,
Sunday's
Sunday's paper.
Sunday.
Appreciate that. It was well-written, well thought out.
Thank you.
And any word or news on when or if the Secretary of State will rule?
No, I've not received any indication yet. So. But I appreciate it. I felt it necessary to kind of lay out, because they really hadn't been discussed publicly except at some of our meetings about the complete rationale for why we needed to advertise. So,
I was
thank you.
appreciative as
good
well of the
letter.
dispatches. Not that Mark's, I mean, Mark's been doing a great job of covering it, but the editorial that they had written and your thoughts on their editorial and the way you laid out your thoughts on that as well. And I thought that was all good and well done. Just curious as to where this goes and what the Secretary of State does from here. And I didn't want to, I mean, it's a separate issue from the one we just voted on, so I wanted to make sure that we separated the two there, but.
Well, thank you. And I will, if I do hear anything, I'll be sure to keep you posted. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, I apologize. Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 8-20, review of petition to annex 0.972 plus or minus acres from Prairie Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-30-19.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jenny Snap, Assistant Director, Economic Development and Planning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
This resolution is to consider an expedited Type 2 annexation petition of .972 acres from Prairie Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes property located at 975 Hilliard Rome Road. That's west of Hilliard Rome, south of Fetter, east of Dotery, and north of Norfolk Southern Rail Line and West Broad Street. The petition was filed by agent and attorney Donald Plank of Plank Law Firm on behalf of the owner Zbot LLC. That's Nathan Klein, who's the managing member. Craig Moncrief is in attendance should you have any questions on behalf of Plank Law Firm. 100% of the site's perimeter is contiguous with the City of Columbus, and the city passed ordinance number 3154-2019 on December 9th, 2019, indicating the services that would be provided once the annexation is approved, and a statement regarding incompatible land uses and the zoning buffer. Petition meets all statutory requirements of Section 709.021 of the Ohio Revised Code, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
So Mr. Moncrief, have anything he wants to add? Okay.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 8-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 8-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 9-20, review of petition to annex .388 plus or minus acres from Perry Township to the City of Columbus, case number ANX-31-19.
This resolution is also to consider an expedited Type 2 annexation petition of .388 acres from Perry Township to the City of Columbus. The area to be annexed includes property located at 0000 Riverside Drive, that does not have an address, which is east of Riverside Drive, south of Cranston Drive, west of Sawmill Road, and north of West Case Road. Petition was filed by agent and attorney Matthew Call, that's of Kephart Fisher, who is in attendance, should you have any questions, on behalf of the owner, Romanelli and Hughes Building Company. 50% of the site's perimeter is contiguous with the City of Columbus, and the city passed ordinance number 3155-2019 on December 9th, 2019, indicating the services that will be provided once the annexation is approved, and a statement regarding incompatible land uses in the zoning buffer. Petition meets all statutory requirements outlined in Section 709.021 of the Ohio Revised Code, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
Does Mr. Cole have anything he wants to add?
No, sir.
Okay.
If there are no comments or questions, for adoption of 9-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 9-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you.
Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 10-20, resolution authorizing the adoption of the Franklin County Criminal Justice Planning Board Comprehensive Strategic Justice Plan for 2020 through 2024.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Daniels, Director of Justice Policy and Programs. In the spirit of the new year and the new technology, we've been encouraged to use that, so maybe we can get this fired up. Every year, the Criminal Justice Planning Board, as you know, you appoint that board annually. Every 4 years, that board is asked to put together a comprehensive strategic plan for 4 years that's used to guide the work that we do, as well as is used when we talk to the state of Ohio and federal funders to show that funding we're applying for fits strategically with the work that we're doing. I think it's important to recognize before we talk about this, the membership of that Criminal Justice Planning Board. It consists of law enforcement, prosecution, public defender, the courts, the clerks, so folks from all across the entire justice spectrum. And so when you can get that group of folks to come together and adopt a singular policy document, we think that that's an important thing to do. And this year, we've very much focused on not creating a list of tasks, which has been sort of what the previous plans have been, but rather a list of policies and statements of impact. So there are a few points to point out. This document will ensures that the group has committed to improve successful reentry and reduce recidivism, to provide appropriate diversion for persons with mental illness, to provide appropriate diversion and treatment to individuals with substance use disorder, and recognizing specifically that while opiates capture many of the headlines, the number one drug for which people die is alcohol over long term, and we're seeing a recurrence of cocaine and methamphetamine. And so we'll be continuing to focus on that. Providing appropriate alternatives to incarceration or jail incarceration for folks who do not pose a danger to themselves or their communities. So looking at community alternative sentencing centers, pretrial supervision, other things that can keep people out of incarceration when they do not pose a danger to the community. An increase of services to victims of family and domestic violence, a direct commitment to support the county's commitment to reducing poverty and improving economic mobility, as well as a commitment to support Franklin County Public Health's commitment to health equity statements. And I think what's important here is to really point out that this group came together and committed to directly address issues of equity as it disproportionately impacts marginalized populations. And we'll specifically talk in this. We had a great deal of discussion, just as for the first time in the poverty discussions, the topic of race and racism has been put out front. So too has that now enabled us to put that out in the discussions that we're having within the justice system. And I think that, again, looking at this group across the board to make the following commitments is important. One, to commit to the elimination of racial disparities in the criminal justice system. That's a high bar, but that's a bar that this group has taken on. To prioritize racial equity as part of every decision-making process that we go through. To acknowledge the historical burden that communities of color, particularly Black folk in Columbus, have borne regarding economic justice, access to opportunity, investment opportunities, and so forth, but to absolutely acknowledge that discrimination and that burden and that historical burden exists, and that we must recognize that within the justice system. To understand then the legacy of those inequitable policies and the incredibly deep harm and mistrust that has caused between certain communities and the justice system in general. And I think that the most important statement that the entire document makes, and the group took this to heart and actually asked us to move it forward in the document that you have so that it becomes at the very beginning of the things that we're committed to. And that is that this group recognizes that racial equity is realized when and only when race can no longer be used to predict life outcomes. Commissioners, we're incredibly proud of the work that went into this. We are very honored to work with the partners that we do, who have come from a variety of different sectors, who have all historically been impacted by this issue of racial inequality, but no one's really ever put it on the table and talked about it. We have a planning board now that's putting it front and center. We're proud to present this four-year plan to you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
The only thing, Mr. President, may I? The only thing that I would say is I'm really excited about this planned work and your structure and focus and how you've laid it out. Is it possible that I can get a copy of this presentation?
Absolutely.
I want to talk to you more about it in some of the things I'm thinking for 2020, but B, I'd love to do a post on this because this is the kind of work that the public needs to hear from us to know, because it's kind of grind work. It's kind of work that you don't see the real impact each day, but we know what we're doing, but we got to talk about it more. I'd like to talk about it more. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah, I like this presentation, and I'm going to do some posts, and we can talk about connecting to go.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that all three of your offices get the slides and the clerk has them as well for the record. Make sure you get those. And the document itself is attached to the resolution, but I'll include it as a separate attachment in case you just want to share the plan itself.
Michael, over the last couple of years, the Criminal Justice Planning Board has taken giant steps forward in its work, and I've seen it being a participant on that Criminal Justice Planning Board. It's really taken leaps and bounds forward, and I'm thrilled to be a part of the work. This is groundbreaking in this community, that this group came together and really put this out front. And we really do need to talk about it more. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And this group, like any other, is as successful as its leadership. And under your leadership as the chair and Judge Barrow's leadership as the vice chair, it's enabled us to really bring these conversations forward. I would say not necessarily in a safe space, but in a brave space where we can have uncomfortable conversations, knowing that we have to push through those in order to make real progress.
Well, the group finally started talking a couple of years ago, and it's been a really brave conversation that we've been having. So this has been a work in progress, a journey over years to get to this place. And I think having our poverty work start talking about the conversation allowed us in some of our committee work to be able to start having the brave conversations that weren't happening elsewhere, to finally come out and have those conversations among these groups of law enforcement and prosecutorial and you know, it's tough groups of people coming together, having those conversations.
Yeah, that's where my thoughts go with this, is that, you know, along with the poverty blueprint, you know, it's just more, you know, more evidence, more recognition that in this community,
Yeah.
we are, you know, opening up and understanding and realizing that racial equity is something that we need to put on in the forefront of our conversation, and we need to understand that, you know, it's a new day, and we need to, you know, we need to have this conversation in the forefront if we're going to be the community that we continually think of and talk about. And if we're gonna get there, we need to continue to do this. And so this is fantastic work.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 10-20.
Second,
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 10-20 has been adopted.
Thank you,
Thank
Commissioners.
All right, thank you. The purchasing department.
Resolution number 11-20, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $165,489,589.76.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry, Balanier, Director of Purchasing. Today, I'm presenting to you the first PO resolution of 2020. As a reminder, the first few resolutions each January are much larger in quantity and dollar value relative to the rest of the year. By way of explanation, at the end of each fiscal year, the County Auditor's Office closes all open purchase orders. Agencies then must open new POs at the beginning of the next fiscal year. This allows agencies to make payment for any end of the previous year costs, and it's also time for agencies to open POs for anticipated costs for the new fiscal year. It's important to note that these encumbrances are in many cases for budgeted costs that are spread over the 12 months of 2020. And they include, for example, approved construction contracts, utilities, appointed council fees, postage, or various agency program costs. With that said, the resolution before you requests your approval of 482 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 11-20.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 11-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 12-20, resolution authorizing an application to the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas for employment of Bricker and Eckler to perform services associated with arbitrage, rebate, and yield restriction compliance, and to serve as bond counsel and provide advice in public finance matters as needed during 2020.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Tularic with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution authorizes the application for a court order pursuant to Section 305.14 of the revised code in order to employ the law firm of Bricker and Eckler during 2020 to perform the calculations associated with the interest earnings on bond proceeds that's required by our IRS guidelines for the county's tax-exempt debt. After approval of the court order, a subsequent resolution will be submitted for approval of the contract. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 12-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 12-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 13-20, resolution authorizing an application to the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas for employment of Frost Brown Todd to serve as bond counsel and provide advice in public finance matters during 2020.
Commissioners, as stated in the title, this resolution would be the application of a court order for Frost Brown Todd to serve as bond counsel during 2020 to continue to serve the county in that capacity. Again, after approval of the court order, a subsequent resolution will be submitted for approval of the contract. If any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
If there are no comments or questions, move for adoption of 13-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 13-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 14-20, resolution authorizing an application to the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas for employment of Ice Miller to serve as legal counsel regarding labor relations matters during calendar year 2020.
Yep. And for this contract, these are legal services related to the county's collective bargaining negotiations as well as workers' compensation claims. If any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
Director, what bargaining units are up this year? Do we have any?
I believe under the Commissioners Agency, Job and Family Services with OCSEA will be, their contract expires March 31st of this year. And then for the AFSCME and Child Support, Teamsters agreements end at the end of this calendar year. So negotiations will likely start towards the end of the year. And then there are a couple elected officials that have their own bargaining units that will be forthcoming.
Okay, thank you so much. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption. Oh, I'm sorry, did you?
No, he answered.
Okay. If there are no further comments or questions, move for adoption of 14-20.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 14-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 15-20, resolution of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners to convene into executive session for the purpose of considering personnel matters.
Move to convene into executive session to consider appointment, and promotion or compensation of a public employee.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 15-20 has been adopted. An executive session will convene in the briefing room in more or less 10 minutes of the 26th floor.
Thank you.
Dean, I presume there are no journalizations?
No, there are not.
All right, that concludes today's session. We'll see everybody next week.